Because the dogs will bark.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Droid Life Show, episode 44 tonight. I'm your host, Kellen. With me, Tim, Ron, and Eric. Everybody say hi real quick.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Tim here. Yes, the one and only.
From Droid Life.
From...
Yeah, this is Ron here from the internet.
Hi, I'm Eric.
Straight out of Russia.
Straight out of Russia.
He's Eric the Mad Russian Rees tonight.
It's pretty cold out here today, so I'm rocking a Russian Ushanka.
I like
for
it.
those listening at home.
That's right, Nishanka.
Is that really what that's called?
Yeah, it is.
Nice. Way to go official there. I like it.
That's a big word.
It
All right,
is.
so episode 44, this is probably our second to last show of the year. We'll try to do one more next week before we hit Christmas, New Year's, and then off to CES time. But some stuff to talk about. Not a lot happened in the last week. I would say the biggest deal was probably the Nexus 5 getting its camera update. So Google released 4.4.1, and then they've already actually released 4.4.2. So they've been busy, the Android team has. But anyways, it fixed the camera, or at least improved it. We'll talk a little bit about that. We've also got new Google Play Edition devices, a white Nexus 7. Tim reviewed the One Max. How about a Nokia Android phone, if anybody's interested in that? Some other stuff to talk about, apps, games, all the usual. So anyways, let's start first with the Nexus 5. So I think this was last Thursday. I think it was the day after we did the show when we were trashing on the camera again for the Nexus 5. And Google pushes this update, 4.4.1, and the main focus is on the camera. So they improved shutter speed, they improved focus, they improved just the app overall from launch to focus to snapping a photo. They upped the contrast a little bit, changed the way it produces colors and things, and overall, I would say it's improved. It's definitely faster. We did a quick video comparison of the old Nexus 5 camera software to the new stuff, and you can definitely see just within a couple of seconds that there's just where there was slight delays before, there no longer is. So Google definitely did a good job of speeding it up. I think now everyone wants to know probably, is it take better pictures? I would say the pictures are slightly better. I'd say the colors are more accurate. It's definitely got rid of some of that yellowish tint we were seeing for a while and some of that dark grayness that sort of that hazy, I call it like a death look. So I would say the pictures look a little bit better. They definitely take faster pictures, the phone does. It's a pretty good improvement. Our biggest complaint, even last week, was still that the camera's terrible, and pretty big improvement. So not a lot wrong with the phone at this point. Tim, have you've got one, you've been using it. Have you noticed a big change, improvement, all for the better?
Yeah, I mean, definitely better than it previously was on 4.4, but it's still not perfect. I mean, the whole UI situation is still, I don't know what's going on. But in terms of, taking pictures, the focus is a lot faster than it was, so that's good. HDR, I love how there's like a little, a symbol or, ring to at least let you know what's going on. Your phone isn't just janked up and frozen. So it's definitely an improvement. Yes, it could be labeled major, but there's still tweaking to be done, I think. So the unfortunate part is that it'll never match up to something that I really want, say like the G2 or even like the S4 and the Note 3. Like, those are really fantastic cameras that have great software to go with it. And unfortunately, I just don't know if the Nexus 5 is ever going to get there, and that kind of bums me out. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it'll ever get up to the standards of the S4, like you said, or the G2, but it's definitely better. It is kind of sad that it's just not the greatest camera phone we've ever seen, especially after Vic and Dodra a couple of months ago said, we're dedicated to making the best camera phones ever / Nexus, whatever he said. And yeah, it's a good camera. It'll probably get you by, and it'll take some decent shots. It'll also take some bad shots, but it's definitely not a leading candidate for camera of the year by any means. But improvement. Okay, so what's better then, the Moto X's camera improvement when that came out, or the Nexus 5's camera improvement? Like, which was the bigger jump?
The bigger jump, I'd have to give it to the Moto X, because that thing was unusable.
It was unusable.
The Nexus 5 I could at least use and maybe get a couple pictures that I could oversaturate and annoy Ron with on Instagram. But the Nexus exactly. But the Nexus 5 has already taken pretty decent pictures in my opinion. Pretty decent, and that's low. I want them to be taking excellent. So yeah, I'd have to give that that award to Moto X for sure. That unusable camera was made usable thanks to that update.
I think we've already forgotten how bad the Moto X camera was.
It was so bad.
It was unusable. It really was. It took such terrible pictures, and they did fix it and made it usable now.
Yeah. I mean, how about like the streaks when you taking a video? You would just see streaks going up of light. Like, I mean, it was the worst experience of it. That was worse than the Photon Q on Sprint that I reviewed way back in the day. I mean, that thing was really bad.
Wow,
so,
Photon reference.
Photon.
Yeah. So nice of Google to release 4.4.1 and then now 4.4.2. I'm not exactly sure what the bug was in 4.4.1, but yeah, they issued the .2 update almost immediately, and it's out on.
It must have been a pretty big bug for them to get on their horse that fast and update everybody.
Yeah, because a lot of people didn't even necessarily get the 4.4.1 update, and then they all of a sudden were pushing out 4.4.2, and then all of a sudden everyone got 4.4.2. It wasn't even, there was no delay there. Everyone just got it. So, and now factory images, yeah. So good job on that.
Good job, Googs.
Yeah.
Do work.
So now how long before the Moto X gets 4.4.2? I mean, that's on
next week.
Next week. I think it'll be a while. I think it might be a couple of months. We'll see.
Next week.
It's not really that big of an update, right? So
it'll get it on Verizon first.
No.
I think they lost their exclusive on that probably. They'll now be back to being the slowest in the industry or something.
Back to the last, all right.
Yeah.
That works.
All right, so outside of Nexus stuff, Google announced 3 new products, right? We got a white Nexus 7. So it's not any different than the Nexus 7 that's out, 2013 Nexus 7 that's out, but it's got 32 gigs of storage. It's $269, I believe. And it has a white back, so it matches the white Nexus 5, kind of. It's the Panda Nexus 7, if you will. So that's out for the holidays. And then we also got 2 new Google Play Edition devices, the Sony Z Ultra, not the Xperia Z Ultra, just the Z Ultra, and then the LG G Pad 8.3, which we were pretty sure was coming, but it's now official. So the G Pad 8.3 is, well, like all Google Play Edition devices, they're the exact same phone as their skinned version. They just don't have a skin, so same specs, all that stuff. G-Pad, Tim's got one coming. Actually, he might be running to the UPS door any second now to grab that.
The UPS door.
My door.
The door
where
UPS will be.
You'll know because everyone will hear the doorbell, and then the dogs will go off because they don't like intruders, and so everyone will know when it arrives. So
it's gonna be a whole thing.
Yeah. It is going to be a whole thing. So we've got that coming. So Tim will have, full impressions, unboxing, all that stuff of that probably tomorrow since UPS is so late. Then the Z Ultra is Sony's massive phone, right? I don't even know the official specs on this because I'm not going to lie, I've kind of ignored everything Sony does because nothing comes to the US ever. But it's like 6.4 inch full HD display, Snapdragon 800, I believe, 8 megapixel camera, Exmor sensor. It's super thin. It's also waterproof. Big enough battery, but the thing is huge. I mean, if you thought the One Max was big at 5.9 inches, this thing crushes that. Although this thing's a lot lighter and thinner, but it's actually bigger than the One Max, which is kind of crazy. So yeah, we've got 2 new Google Play Edition devices. Anybody have any thoughts on those? When you saw these come out, did you get excited? Were you just kind of was it like a shoulder shrug? I guess I'm kind of like in the shoulder shrug category. I just kind of went, sweet, more Google Play Edition devices. I don't necessarily know that anyone's going to buy them. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that.
I'm not necessarily in the market to buy one right now, but I really do like that other companies are getting on this as well. I think, when they announced Google Play Edition, the S4 and the HTC One were, quickly announced right afterwards, and I just figured that those were going to be the only 2 that we would ever see. But I feel like now that we've got a couple more, this might be something that will stay around longer, that Google might actually, put to some good use. So I'm kind of excited. Not personally, but, to see where it goes from here now.
So Tim and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday, and I guess I'm starting to wonder what's the point of the Google Play Edition, because they're full price, right? And maybe we've talked about this before. They're full price, right? And so it's not like a Nexus where you get it at this ridiculously low Google price. And so you get stock Android, and that's kind of it. So who buys these? super geeks that really wanted the Z Ultra that didn't want, Sony's skin on there, or that wanted the G Pad but didn't want LG's skin? And how many people are there out there that actually care about that, right? There cannot be that many. So are these devices now manufacturers saying, we know no one's going to buy these, and we only have to probably produce a couple thousand or something like that, but maybe it gets media talking about us more, so we're back in the headlines, and then it shows that we're open, or I guess I don't really, like these two devices, well, I guess I should say the Galaxy S4 and HTC One, they were the two hot devices of the moment when those came out. It kind of made sense. Everyone was saying, I wish we could get stuff without a skin. And then those came out, and it was like, yay, we're finally here. We've got these Google phones that are the hardware we want. That kind of made sense. These two, I don't necessarily know that I understand it.
I feel the same way. I don't understand it whatsoever. And to answer your question, well, not even to really answer, but more just agree. I don't know who's buying these. I know one person that owns like the Galaxy S4 Google Play Edition, and he's not a blogger. And he's not a blogger. And because, of course, bloggers are the only people that would buy these, right? So, and he loves it. But I don't know why he has it. Like, why would he have it over the TouchWiz version that features, software that can help that phone be better, So I don't know. I personally, well, maybe I would. I don't know. I'm trying to think if I would ever buy these. Definitely not the Z Ultra, just because it's not my style of device, but... The HTC One, I wouldn't buy that because the hardware configuration doesn't really make sense on a stock Android device. Same with the Galaxy S4 with the home button. So I just don't know what the point is of the Google Play Edition devices. I'm sorry, Ron, I don't get it, and I'm fine with that. So, yeah. Ron, your turn.
Well, I'm not allowed to say that things don't matter, so.
No, please.
If ever I say something doesn't matter,
no,
all hell breaks loose.
We're the ones saying that we don't get it, so feel free.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely have talked about this. I don't know exactly where the conversation went last time. It's been a while, but...
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that's the question at large for these Google Play Edition devices. They're not available on every carrier, so you're limited there, especially in the States, which these new ones appear to only be in the States. Maybe the Nexus 7 in white is the exception, but they don't appear to be available outside the States at this point. So it appears to be a local thing for now, and maybe that'll change with time. But so they're losing half the people that have phones on Verizon. They just can't get them. So it's an interesting thing. I think it would be more interesting if they picked different devices. But as I was thinking through that, I don't know what else I would have rather have them pick. The One and the S4, the flagship devices. So it's an interesting. I mean, I guess they could have picked the G2 or something like that. But
that would have been sick. See, that phone I can understand. That phone would be an awesome Google Play Edition device because it has no hardware buttons. I mean, besides like the back, the volume rocker, which totally makes sense, and a power button. I mean, that's all you would need on a Nexus device. So the G2 would have been an amazing Google Play Edition.
Except that the Nexus 5 is kind of like the G2.
No, but not really.
So you're not allowed to make that comparison.
Yeah.
I'm not. Is there something wrong with making that comparison?
I think Ron did it.
As soon as I did, it was no. They're totally different phones.
Really,
everything's different.
Crucified him.
All right. Well, the Nexus 5 was that with the MKBHD show? Because I don't remember that conversation. Because I think they're basally built off the same everything.
Oh, yeah, there's always a design reference, but people like to deny that and say that no, they just made it on their own, and that it is accurate that from the Galaxy Nexus on, you started seeing a lot more divergence from the flagship. So the Galaxy Nexus is the most dissimilar of the because it's based off of the what would that be, the Galaxy S2.
Yeah.
And they started making differences there. That's where they started branching out a lot more. You see that same thing with the Nexus 4. It's a lot different than the what was that, the G,
Optimus G.
Just regular G, right? Not Pro.
I think it was the Optimus G, wasn't it? That was when they were still going with Optimus.
Yeah.
Optimus. I'm just saying, I actually like the G2 hardware, not necessarily just the platform of the phone or anything like that. The essence of the Nexus 5 and the G2. I'm talking about the actual hardware would have been great. with stock Android.
Yeah,
So
it's a strange, Kellen, you mentioned is this like a sign of them being open, and I think they are to some degree sensitive to that because they do talk a big game with how open always wins and things like that, and then they're slowly closing off more and more bits of Android. But I don't know that that's necessarily what they're trying to do. It's I don't know why you would, especially with like what is the name of the LG tablet? The
G-Pad.
G-Pad. Gosh, these names.
Such a sweet name, yeah.
G-Pad 8.3, baby.
I don't know why you'd pick that over the Nexus 7.
Right.
There's just a lot of, and especially with any Google Play Edition device, the only reason you would pick it over the current actual Nexus is if you wanted to pay a lot more money for the hardware. But you don't seem to get a lot of advantages for getting that, unless you really like the hardware design of like the One or the S4 or something. But Tim, like you're saying, you're saddled with the hardware buttons on those, and the camera has on both of them is demonstrably worse than they are on the skin version. So there's just it's a strange thing to like say like, hey, we've got these now kind of fleet of devices that have quote unquote stock Android, whatever that even means anymore.
Okay, first of all, how dare you?
It's changing. Like I just saw an article. I forget who. I think it was at Android Central saying that the gallery is still on some Google Play editions, but it's not on the Nexus 5. And it's what stock Android means is changing dramatically, especially as more and more pieces get removed from AOSP. And obviously I think that's Google responding to Amazon and other people possibly coming out with phones. And this Nokia phone that we're going to talk about, which looks like it is also forked, regardless of whether that'll come out. But they're pulling those items out to make it harder for people to just use stock Android. So it's just such a weird, like, I don't know who these devices are for. I think you can make a really great argument for, hey, this is a Nexus phone is for developers or people that just want a cheap off-contract phone. This is an expensive off-contract phone with demonstrably inferior software, so I don't know why you would pick that.
Exactly.
I mean, we can sit here and like try and rationalize it all we want, but there are some people out there that have bought it,
Well, I don't think we're trying to rationalize it. We're just trying to understand it.
No.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand the really big point, because usually when you create a product, you want to make some money, right? I don't see any way that Sony's really benefiting or making any money from these things. For one thing, I mean, they're ridiculously expensive off contract. The Z Ultra. The same thing with the G-Pad is $350, so it's actually not that bad of a price. But like the Galaxy S4.
But compared to the Nexus 7, it's a horrible price.
Yeah, I mean it's almost $100 more than the 32 gig version. So yeah, I just don't get like why would you create this product knowing that maybe a couple of thousand? Obviously, we don't know numbers, but I would guess a few thousand of these are going to be sold. Is it really worth it? Like, what are you trying to say by making a phone available that only a couple thousand? Are you saying like, see, we're doing open things too, like Sony saying, see, we can do, although Sony's been known to be sort of an open as far as Android goes.
They've been good to developers.
Yeah, but like LG, like why would LG want you to buy this over the G-Pad with all of their services and software and all that stuff built in? Why would they want you to go? Actually, I think LG said when the G2 came out, we're not doing a Google Play Edition because we want you to use all of our crap. And then they come out with the G-Pad 8.3 and they go completely away from that. I guess I just, like, what are you trying to say by just making a Google Play Edition?
I mean, I thought Android was all about having choice to do what you want, So if somebody wants to, have an HTC One with stock Android, then it's out there, It may not be for everybody, but it still exists. I don't think that these companies would have put those products out there if they were going to lose money. Or even if they are, I don't think they would have put that out if they cared about losing money on this product,
Right.
Yeah,
but the larger question.
Losing, but anyway, go ahead, Ron.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, yeah, Android is for a lot of people. It's about being open, and especially from Google's perspective, like, hey, you can do, especially like marketing it against other devices and other ecosystems. It is like, hey, you can do whatever you want on there. You can, there's a lot more options. It's a lot more open to the kinds of things you can do with apps and things like that. But at the same time, like, it feels like Google Play Edition, like, again, Google has done a very terrible job with marketing and with just explaining to the public that in theory they're marketing these devices to, of, hey, why do I want to get this over something else. Just throwing out options in general isn't helpful to consumers. Go try and buy a Dell computer. It's not helpful when you've got 80,000 different options and you don't know what the heck any of them mean or anything else like that. Why would I get a Inspiron 15 instead of an Inspiron 15R?
I'm sure that Google still has to do business with all the carriers. They can't just offer this amazing product for an amazing price through their own thing and still keep AT&T and Verizon and Sprint happy. Like, you can't just blow everything out of the water, you know.
Well, I don't know that Google gives a shit. I say that about carriers anymore. You know what I mean? Like, they did the Galaxy Nexus thing, and it was such a failure that I think they're showing now that they would rather just, you know, completely avoid them. I think what I'm wondering is the manufacturer of these phones, like Sony and whoever else, Samsung and HTC, like, they're not. I guess. Well, I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, I just don't understand.
I think that HTC and Samsung and all them are going to make more money when people buy the phones on the contract, so they don't really care about how it's marketed on Google Play.
Right. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. Like, what's the
they
point,
don't.
then?
But why is Google doing it? Because Google's the one that's advertising it. It's not LG or anybody. You know, they might throw up a tweet or something, but they're not like telling you to go. Like, their PR team is not telling you to go buy the Google Play edition of it. They're telling you to go buy the regular version
because they're going to make more money at the carrier.
Right. So it's not about what LG or Samsung or anybody else is saying. What is Google saying? And it's nothing.
It's running the latest version of Android. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, a few weeks after.
No, I know, but
Like,
it's not even 4.4.2 or 1. It's like the Z Ultra is running 4.4, so it's technically behind already. It's not running the latest version.
Yeah, and it's just such a, like, I would get it if you could say, like, hey, like, if you get a Google Play edition, you're getting the hardware and you're getting not stock Android. You're getting, you know, like the ROM is basically stock Android, but you've got those software enhancements from the previous version, you know, from the I don't know, commercial version still on there, kind of like what was it, Fusion or Fission ROM for Droid 2 and Droid X and things like that, where you could I forget what the difference was between them, but you know, being able to pull over that software, like you used to be able to have, if you wanted to have the stock camera app, you could have that, or if you wanted to have Motorola's camera app, you could have that, and you know, with all sorts of different things. And if Google Play was offering that, saying like, hey, you can get the one and it's got stock Android, but it's got all of HTC's enhancements that they've added on top there. It's got the Beat stuff, it's got their camera app and things like that. You know, just like if it was that, then I think you could make like a really good argument to like, oh, like that's what this device is for. If you want close to stock Android, but you still want those enhancements, because that's really what those devices are about. Those devices are designed to work with their software, not with stock Android. And we see that the quality of, you know, like especially camera stuff drops when it's running, you know, stock Android.
Right. Yeah. If Google's idea was to say, look, our version is way better on these devices, I don't think they're winning that argument, because you're right. As much as we dislike skins, these other companies have definitely proven, cameras for one, that the camera experiences with, you know, TouchWiz and all that stuff is far superior to the stock Android. So if Google's idea is, well, we'll show you that, you know, stock Android is king really by putting it on these devices and selling them through Google Play, I wouldn't argue. I would argue against them actually, you know, winning that. But.
Yeah. I don't think that Google needs to market these. I don't think they want to. I don't think they care, because we do the marketing for them. The market that this is set out for are people that already know that's the phone they want, and then they want stock Android. They don't.
It's not a very profitable way of doing things.
Right, because you have
running back into this issue of profit. I don't think Google cares. They're not going to sell that many.
Okay, but they have to at some point. Like, you don't just get to keep blowing money.
Exactly. I used to say that too. I was like, who cares? Google's got billions of dollars. But at some point, the bottom line, you know, kind of sinks in.
Investor calls.
I mean, we can sit there. We can sit here and say that doesn't sound profitable, but I'm pretty sure it wouldn't work unless Google has gone through it and is at least making some money off of this. That's why
Google bought Motorola with seemingly no reason. Their patent portfolio turned out to be bust, and they were stuck with a product line for almost a year and a half that was crap. That even their own people admitted was crap. Like, Google's known for doing rash things and making, you know, they've got what is it, Project Loon or whatever, where they're shooting internet from balloons down. Like, they do crazy stuff. That's what they do, which is fine. But when it comes to actual products, things that you're supposed to sell, like, you know, like Eric, you're saying that we're supposed to do that, but we're you know, like the community is supposed to, like, you know, kind of advertise it amongst themselves and get excited about these things. But I don't see anybody getting excited about it. press or otherwise. Like, it's just another option, and it's not clear why those were chosen. It's not clear why I should choose, especially for. I do think maybe a big part of this, offering up these devices, is as Google continues to push itself out there as a competitor directly against these other manufacturers, of saying, hey, we're going to play fair and let you guys have equal space in our store and everything else like that. We're going to give you access and all those things to kind of keep down the issue of Google competing with its own partners. I think that's maybe part of it, but like, it's when you sell something, like, you're supposed to explain why I would want to buy it. They kind of do that with Nexus. If you like see an ad on YouTube, or one time a year they'll show it on Grammys or something like that. But I mean, for these Google Play editions, why are they doing it? Why are they investing? Because it costs money from the manufacturers and from Google to put go through all this, to do the development, to put all these devices out, to keep them updated. Like, that costs money, that costs resources. So it's a strange thing, and it would be fantastic if Google would finally just say, like, hey, these are what these devices are for. These are why you should get them. Like, it's just such a strange thing. In particular, the G Pad versus the Nexus 7. Like, that's just such a bonkers. Like, why would you ever pick the G Pad over the Nexus?
The only reason we're having this discussion is because they're full retail price. If they were price of a Nexus, nobody would care. This would be the best thing in the world. Google
right, but they're not. So
right, that's the problem, I think. Yeah, is that they're so overpriced. At least the phones are. That I don't know who buys them.
That's what I'm saying. There's so much that goes on behind doors between Google and Sony and HTC. There's so much talk that we don't know about, that this is probably a very justified strategy at some point. But
I feel like there's probably a lot less than you would actually imagine, because then again, why are they full retail? I mean,
because the manufacturers can't lose money. That's why Google's losing money on Nexus hardware, and they're subsidizing it. They're paying LG or whoever happens to be the Nexus partner that year. They're paying them and saying, hey, we're going to sell this at a loss because we want to have cheap developer hardware out there. They can't do that with the other devices, because guess what? They're all slowly dying from the manufacturers. They need to make some money. So if they're going to get out there, they have to they have to make some profit so those companies can survive.
Yeah. Well, yeah. People are still there's probably a majority of people that still don't like the idea of buying a phone outright. I know that we might be a minority to that fact. When it comes to not getting a phone subsidized and getting it for a lot cheaper on contract and all that stuff. I mean, so the idea of having to pay $650 outright for a phone, like an upfront cost for stock Android, that's not sounding like a good business plan to me.
Well, let me just read. So here's Sony's press release. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this is like their sort of their reason for this existing, and they say it doesn't. They actually don't even say anywhere. It says. Well, it says they've provided AOSP for Xperia devices. Where is it? Sorry, I just lost it. Sorry, terrible person. It says, okay, where was that? The device is based on the original, which has had a great response. So you're going to dumb down a phone that had a great response. It says it's just released with the latest version of Android, and that's it. It says it's another chapter in our work to support the open Android community. That's Sony.
There we go. That right there. It's fantastic.
That right there.
So here's LG. LG's working relationship with Google has always been strong, and our collaboration on the first ever Google Play Edition tablet is proof of that commitment. The LG G Pad GPE is a device with hardware and software that has been optimized for a truly consumer-friendly experience. There's nothing else like it out there in the marketplace. So your LG G Pad 8.3 that's running your own proprietary software is not even as good as. I mean, like.
It's not consumer-friendly. That's the problem. They're skin scrap.
Yeah. It's just such a weird thing. I don't know. I don't really.
Well, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. I mean, that's the issue. Is like that while they're trying to hype up one thing, they're like down-talking. They're unknowingly down-talking their own product, and that's our problem with it. Like we don't get it.
Or another problem with it, yeah.
Exactly. So
for the first couple of years that I was on Android, all we would talk about is, man, this phone would be awesome if we could have stock Android on it. And now we've gotten to that point, and everybody's just turned their head on it. I just don't see.
Well, it's because stock Android has problems that aren't dealt with when it's put on there. Like the camera
so
stuff
now we're
has
back
issues.
to carrier skin might be a good thing.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, things have
Here's the
changed.
thing.
Actually, maybe. Yeah.
Ron, go for
No.
it.
Here's the thing. Look, Samsung's camera software takes better pictures. However, you've got like 80,000 different settings that you have to flip through with a giant stylus to try and figure out what you're like. The software in terms of its implementation is as far as the UI is horrible and terrible. And I think you make that argument for almost any single skinned version of the camera app. However, in terms of the actual pictures that it takes, in terms of the software that's on there that's working with the sensor, that is superior. If we had a stripped down version of that where the UI was just stock Android but it was taking really good pictures, that'd be one thing. But that's not what we have. But we have our phones that are taking demonstrably inferior pictures, and that's the big huge thing that we're seeing, where it's there. And when you look at it side by side, something with like the camera, that's really, really important to anybody that has a phone. It's taking worse pictures because it doesn't have the right software and it's not being optimized. And Google apparently can't do it, as we've seen with the Nexus devices over and over and over again. And the manufacturers have zero incentive to try and work on it really hard because they're going to sell 5, so who cares? That's the issue.
Well, and to your point, Eric, I would argue that skins actually are getting better now, at least in some ways. Like LG's, I know it's really ugly, and Tim hates Sense, but I don't actually mind either of those as much. I still hate TouchWiz, but I would say that they've gotten slightly better. And while stock Android's definitely gotten better, the camera experience does suck, and those other guys seem to know what they're doing. So there's kind of this mixture. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and the other thing too is you're able to hide a lot of that stuff a lot more, especially as we're getting more and more apps rolled out that you can get in the Play Store. So you don't have to use HTC's calendar app. You can use the one from Google. You can use Hangouts. So you don't have to use HTC's text app. It's going down the line where more and more of that you can make any phone a Google phone, even if it's not technically, which is making a huge difference.
Right. And so I would say that skins are getting slightly better. But then the other thing is, when you talk about how we all want, in the past anyway, we all wanted phones that had stock. Well, I still think we all wanted phones that ran stock Android that didn't cost, $650 or something like that. I think we wanted, subsidized. That was back when, people still buy subsidized phones like crazy. And so you can't, while they're stock Android, they're not an option for most people because they're $650. There's no carrier option, any of that stuff. So
so now it seems that now that we've gotten our stock Android phones on the phones that we like, it seems that now we want them at a low cost, not full retail. So that's the next fan service for Google to move down.
Well, it's that, but I think it's also hey, Google, get some hire some camera engineers.
Seriously.
Well, I mean,
bottom line, Google, just hire someone to work on your.
I mean, that's a whole different story. It's just.
Well, it's not though. That's the story of Nexus devices, and that's the story of Google Play Edition devices. This huge feature that everybody wants to use is terrible in all of them.
Well, I would say, I have the Galaxy S4 Google Play Edition. It takes really nice pictures. It might not. They might be slightly worse than the TouchWiz version, but it still takes pretty damn good pictures. So I use the phone a lot during the summer, and I actually really liked it. Other than the physical button setup, but I thought it actually took pretty good pictures.
If 4.4.3 came out next week, and its camera was better than the HTC One and the S4 combined, would the GPE edition become an insta-buy for everybody?
No, because it's still crazy expensive, and because you can't get it on every carrier.
Okay, well you just said
also it's not
earlier
advertised.
that the camera was the problem.
I said the camera is the story. Yeah, there's lots of problems that we could detail, but I think that's a big obvious problem that's very visible to users, especially in reviews.
Yeah, I mean there's all sorts of issues I think clearly with this whole Google Play Edition approach. And I think that's part of the thing is we don't know why they're doing this because we just pointed out how many different issues that all of us have with it. And so what's exactly the point? And we'll never know that answer because Google doesn't answer those questions. So, all right, let's move out of there. Tim, do you want to show off anything you've got, or I don't know? I know you got a big box.
Yeah, I did get a nice little package from UPS this evening. I got the Stormtrooper. Nexus 7, Panda Nexus 7. And I also have the LG G Pad here, 8.3 Google Play Edition that we were just talking about. I'm actually going to say I'm not going to open this one up on air because I'm actually going to need to do a video of that one. That's going to go up on the site tomorrow.
Panda.
Pablo Sandoval. Shout out to my boy. Let's hit the series one more time, kid. Anyways, we're going to, because I already unboxed the Stormtrooper, I just have to unwrap it. Yeah, this is actually my first time killing. I don't know if you know this, but this is my first time ever touching a new Nexus.
Really? That's crazy. I guess I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I've been rocking the OG 2012 Nexus 7 Google I/O edition for quite some time.
This thing feels soft. It's got soft touch. It's It's glorious.
My initial concern is that the Nexus 5 white is actually whiter than the Nexus 7. So this is like
gray.
Yeah, this is like an eggshell white maybe, and this is more of a white. It's like as white as my desk. I don't know. So either way, it's very light. I mean, it's the same Nexus 7 we all know and love. Well, besides me, because I've never touched one. But
wait, are the buttons white?
Buttons. Oh, the buttons are white.
Okay. The camera housing is black. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely it's got a thick Nexus logo on the back, just like the Nexus 5. Dual speakers right there on the bottom. Oh no, yeah, dual speaker right there on top and bottom.
Yeah, it's got dual speakers. So it's just got a white back. That's it.
Yeah. Although it's pretty hot.
Although it's gray compared to the
It's gray compared to the Nexus 5. And that's kind of a bummer. I was really hoping I could take some sweet shots. But these are going to look kind of off now. But that's fine.
Just oversaturate it.
Yeah.
Well, you know I will.
Increase the exposure and you'll be all set.
You know I will, Ron.
HDRscape, a white tablet, that works.
This is a very interesting tablet.
Yeah, GPad 8.3 we'll do tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's stuff to talk about there. So.
Yeah, I can do like a live show of the box. There's the box. Pretty fantastic. There's the back of the box.
So it's similar to the other Google Play Edition devices where all they did was just swap out the picture for a version with stock Android on it. So it's the same packaging, I think.
Yep.
Good times.
Yep. Yeah, it appears to be.
Yeah, and we did not pick up as the Ultra, in case anyone was wondering. We're
sorry, Sony. You might be nice to developers, but you're not very nice to American consumers. So
no, you're not.
No, thank you.
No, you're not. All right, let's talk about the One Max real quick. Tim, you published your quick review on it today. You have any sort of thoughts on the One Max?
That was supposed to be a review. I thought you just said bash it for like 2 hours straight, and I was like, okay.
I didn't think you were that mean to it, actually.
No, I don't think I was mean enough. Boy, that thing.
Regrets.
That thing is completely unusable. Like.
Yeah, you were not mean enough then.
You can use it. It just you have to have two hands. And when I'm walking the dogs and out in the park and stuff, I need one hand to control the boys and one hand to play on the phone. Impossible with the One Max.
Yeah. And
so if one-handed operation is a big thing for you, or you kind of find yourself using one hand a lot, don't get the One Max. And God, it's so heavy. It's how
heavy is it? I think you compared it, didn't you?
I did. I think it's 216 or 217 grams, and then the Galaxy Note 3, which is also quite big, but usable, is 163 grams.
Yeah, when you're pushing over 200, you're getting real heavy for a phone.
It's really heavy, and like I said, I pointed out in the fingerprint scanner, it's great. You can have 4 different fingerprints recognized that do different things, but you can't actually use your fingers to unlock it with one hand. You can only do it with your index or maybe your middle finger if you're kind of a big hand. But if you got small hands, there's no way that
somebody's gonna make a GIF of you doing this.
Go for it. That'd be kind of cool. I've never seen a GIF of me, so if someone does want to do that, I'd appreciate it.
Anyways.
Yeah, the One Max, good battery life, good display, 5.9 inches, 1080p LCD.
Boom sound.
Hey, boom sound. Gotta love boom sounds. People were getting it out in the comment section. They're there's no beat. It's not boom sound. There's no Beats Audio, and I was it's called boom sound. It's just there's no Beats Audio software.
Right.
And they're still loud. Go figure. Because Beats Audio actually isn't anything besides an EQ. So. Yeah, what can I say? A decent phone, like I said, good battery. Gaming on it's great because it's so massive. You can kind of just really grip it in your hand. But again, it's really heavy. You don't want to pull it out in public because people are going to make fun of you. I handed it to a ton of friends, and I was like, "What do you think of this?" And they all just laughed. They literally laughed. And I was and they didn't even laugh at the Note 3, and that thing's pretty kind of funny. But no, they lolled. They lolled. And that sucks. So, One Max. I spent in $299 on contract. I touched on that too. Through Verizon, $300 on contract. Half of the retail? I don't think so. So there's
deal.
Yeah, and I know I'm not going to blame HTC for that, but And the camera is just, man, it's mediocre. It's not as good as the one. They took out the optical image stabilization that was found in the one. There's, I don't know. I mean, this is supposed to go up against the Note 3, and this is not the way you want to do it. So, shame, HTC.
Yeah, I mean, it was them reacting to the oversized phone craze 3 years late and still getting it way wrong.
Oh, so wrong.
Maybe, but I think in hindsight, if you look at it, it's the exact same strategy, just slower rollout as what they did last year.
Hindsight's always 20/20, Ron.
They seem to be late on everything.
Yeah, well, I mean, because last year they had the 1X, the 1S, and the 1V. Is that right?
Yeah.
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 So it's basically the same strategy. It's just they released them at different times.
They just spread it out.
Yeah, but I mean, the one, those phones, besides the 1V, which I wouldn't use, I mean, the 1S was decent, and so was the 1X. I mean, I love the 1X.
1X was good.
And the 1X Plus was fantastic. Tegra 3 processor, LTE on AT&T. So I'm just saying, the One Max, as an HTC device, not even comparing it to the Note 3, is a crap product. Just because it's unusable, I think to most people, like, I didn't want to use it. And I love phones, man. Like that, you don't want to hear Tim Otato saying, no, he doesn't want to use our phone because, I mean, it's unusable, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's...
Well, I think what you said about there's no software enhancements to take advantage of the bigger device, that's what makes the Note such a great sort of oversized phone platform is Samsung actually focused on, they give you a pen with the damn thing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, they give you a pen, they've created this whole software suite that goes with just that, and then HTC's like, here's a blown up HTC One with plastic on it and worse camera, and it just doesn't do anything to offer any sort of great experience on a big screen device.
There's no added value. Here we go.
If you want a bigger screen than the one for media stuff, like if that's your main thing, I guess there's an argument there. If you want a bigger battery, there's an argument there. If you like having the speakers and all that, like the only real, if you're in that category where you just want a giant phone, you don't necessarily want a stylus, you just want a huge phone, which those people do exist. The only downside is that they, for some reason, removed OIS, even though they should have definitely had space for that. I don't know
because
why
it's not
that's
the price dropped. Yeah, the price didn't drop when they were removing features like that.
No, that's the strange thing. So you think that something like that, or even if they're gonna go big, hey, maybe make the camera sensor bigger, do something special with that giant phone to make it, if you're not going to do the software optimizations for that, do something else with the hardware. And instead, they kind of, reduce the hardware in terms of quality. So that's a little disappointing.
It was absolutely disappointing. I was kind of stoked about it. I was like, oh, cool fingerprint scanner, all this cool stuff, but no.
Yeah, and that's really the only enhancement they made, and it's not even that good.
Yeah, in terms of hardware, that's the only real difference. Like big selling feature, and it's an unusable feature in my opinion. I had it on, but it was more annoying and very cumbersome than it was helpful or made me feel protected and all this stuff. And sometimes, it's in the wrong place. You're dragging your finger over the camera lens. This is not something I wanted to be doing.
Yeah.
And it sucked, man. It sucked.
Not good.
It was a bad experience.
Well, now you're done with it.
Yeah, I took a really cold shower after I wrote that thing. I was like, yeah, I gotta cleanse myself.
You opened a bottle of gin, took a cold shower.
I guess I get why they put it there, because it does look aesthetically better than putting it where your thumb would be.
Sure.
Which would make a lot more sense, in terms of usage. If your thumb's just sitting there swiping it on the back there, that would kind of make sense.
Well, could they have tinted the glass to be silver looking or something, and not a giant black square?
I don't think, not to get a good read. I don't think.
Probably
it's not. Is that glass? I thought it was just some weird. It's It's more
You're
like
the one who used it. You tell us.
Well, dude, it wasn't.
Yeah, I've never
glass.
touched that phone, and I never plan on.
It was a soft, because I didn't really think about that. It was kind of a soft plastic, silicone type feel.
Huh.
It definitely wasn't glass.
Huh.
So
actually, they probably could have
fingerprints on it.
Yeah, and they probably could have done something, because I guess on the 5S they have it in the fingerprint sensor in white and in black, so they should have been able to do. If Apple can do it in white, then they should be able to do it in some other color.
HTC cannot do what Apple does.
I wouldn't be complaining so much if I didn't have to swipe my finger. If all I had to do was place my finger on there and it would unlock, that'd be great. But having to swipe it like the old Atrix, are you kidding me? This is 2014 almost, people.
Motorola had thousands of leftover crappy fingerprint scanners. And
HTC was
he's
like,
like,
we'll buy 'em."
them for
Give me
cheap.
those. Give me those. All of them, please.
That's funny.
Many of them.
Yeah. So either way, let's move on because that phone was
Moving on from the One Max.
disgusting.
So The Verge had a report on a Nokia Android phone that's essentially full steam ahead, I think they said. It'll probably be low-end, emerging market kind of device. And I don't necessarily care about that part of it. I just want to know, would you guys actually be excited? And I don't know that this is going to happen now that Microsoft is, like buying Nokia, but say there was a high-end Nokia Android phone. Would you guys be interested?
Nope.
That was across the board, Eric. Almost across the board.
What did Ron say? Yeah.
Ron said no.
Okay.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, you did?
It
Oh, I
had
thought our
half-
team knows.
If
Let's
it had
not
half
do
the camera that like 41 megapixel one does that they put on all the commercials,
1025.
Nope.
Yeah. if it had
It's got-
half of that camera,
If it had
I
a
might
hockey
be
puck on
interested.
the back. Yeah, no,
maybe.
the camera experience could be fun.
Holy crap! This thing isn't even running KitKat. Dude, I'm
Why
serious.
would-
This thing is rocking blue icons up here.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No, I
Okay.
thought it came with 4.4.
No, it's running the quote-unquote latest version of Android.
You have to
Oh.
update it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really.
Well, that's my bad.
Oh, sorry, Eric. Anyway, you said maybe if it had that
Maybe,
if it had the hockey puck on the back.
maybe.
Ron.
I don't know.
Oh.
When I first heard this story, I just imagined that Stephen Elop, it was like Star Wars, and he was Darth Vader being brought in before the Emperor, and be like, "You're letting Nokia go to Android," and he just electrocutes him and kills him. That's just the first thought that came to mind.
Who is the emperor?
But from
Steve
Nokia, I guess. From Nokia fans, though, Elop is definitely the emperor.
He is definitely the emperor. Yeah.
He would. I mean, he always talks so much crap about Android too, and then to hear that his company's like, or at least Google, and then to hear that the new Nokia is kind of moving towards like emerging markets, or at least trying to. Like they've been wanting to do that, I think, for a while, and
Well,
having
they have been
very
doing it with
successful.
They've been there with their old stuff.
With
Of
the new
course.
stuff, with the Asha line of phones, they've been doing it, and apparently they're selling decently.
Asha? You mean Asha?
I say Asha, you say Asha.
I
Beta,
say
beta.
tomato.
I
I
say
say
gift.
potato.
Gift.
Yeah.
Wait,
all right.
did you say
I
beta?
thi- if you do in the UK, yeah. I think Nokia makes really, really nice hardware.
They do.
And according to the report, they were forking Android. So I guess it would kind of depend on what they were, what the software would look like. I think that's a big, because just having nice hardware it's only half the story. So
It'll just have the Windows Phone launcher from the Google Play Store installed.
yeah, it'll have Launcher 7 on there.
Yeah, launcher 7.
Hey,
That's
I
right.
rocked that on my Droid 2 for a while back.
That was
Back when
my
I had
first Droid Life post.
I definitely gave it a test at some point. All right, so yeah, their hardware's nice, right? I think we can all agree that that Nokia phones in hand feel really cool. That sort of soft and the bright colors and the soft touch, and they have way too much bezel, but overall they look really nice. But I still don't know if we need them as an Android player. Well, I guess if they're going to emerging markets with low-end phones, I don't really care anyway. So.
Well, they're not. Yeah, and even if this thing does see the light, it'll be the only thing. It'll be like the N8, where that's the only phone.
Yeah, let them do whatever they want. Like let them go for gold. So.
Yeah, I guess I'd be surprised if they actually do release this thing. The
Oh,
first
yeah.
seemed to think that they really were going to try to push this thing out, but
They're full steam ahead, baby.
full
That only means one thing. It's happening.
But I do think, like looking at what they've done with Windows Phone, Elop had always made this argument that they went with Windows Phone because it would have been really difficult to compete in the Android space, and then they got, they just never made anything, that took any market share with Windows Phone. But I think if they would have gone Android, I think there's a lot of evidence that they would have made really compelling devices, especially if they had something like the 1020 that was had a giant camera on there and had apps and an ecosystem that people were interested in. I think they would have done a lot better. I think they would have at least given HTC a run for their money and been a serious competitor to Samsung as opposed to putting out phones that 3% of the market are interested in.
Yeah, if they would have actually gone Android from the beginning and tried to do some flagship Android stuff, and it actually could have been fun to watch to see them as another player. But they they went the wrong way. Actually, speaking of like them dying down as a company and getting bought by Microsoft and all that stuff, Microsoft's not really going to hire Elop, are they? I haven't been keeping up on that. They're not really going to.
Yeah.
Well, Elop's going over, and they didn't buy all of Nokia. They just bought the handset division.
Okay.
So Nokia as a company still exists, and
But there was like talk of him becoming the new CEO or something, right? That's not actually happening.
He's
right?
theoretically in the running. Nobody knows who the actual new person that's going to be chosen is. A lot of people are saying, I think it's Mullally from Ford, are saying that he's a top runner as well. So.
I would not hire Steven Elop, that's for sure.
I could do it.
Tim could do it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of yeah. I don't know why you would pick the guy that ran Nokia into the ground.
Right. Exactly. I'll never know.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, out of Nokia, 10 million Galaxy Note 3s. Is that shipped or sold? Tim, do you know? Is that shipped or sold?
Sold globally, according to Samsung tomorrow.
Interesting, because they always they usually say ship, so you never really know if that means sold or shipped. But
It said global sales.
Okay.
So hey, that could be from the.
We'll take their word for it.
Yeah. So
that is their official blog. So.
Correct. I want to talk about that real quick. So it took 2 months for Note 3 to sell 10 million, 4 months for the Note 2 to sell 10 million, and 9 months for the original Note to sell 10 million. I mean, 942. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. So what's it going to be next time? 2 weeks? Well, I guess we'll see.
Okay.
Are you guys surprised that the Note really is that popular of a device? I guess I
Yes.
still kind of go, wow, people really love phones that big. People do. They're all over the site. You know, there's definitely a Note 3 cult.
Yeah.
So
People love the house phones.
do.
Yeah, I mean, and anyone who had the original Note, they probably might have skipped the Note 2 possibly just because of the whole upgrade cycle, 2-year thing, and they jumped on the Note 3. So it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
The
No, I
Note
think-
series is good. It's a good series.
Yeah,
A
I
lot
don't
of-
know if it's entirely surprising because, especially with it's very easy for people to fall into the bigger is better mentality, which isn't necessarily always the case. I do get which we've talked about before. I do get the use case where if that's like your only computing device, where you would want to have it giant, I guess. But
For sure.
and the other part of it too, which has been mentioned ad nauseum, at least on the Verge Mobile Show and elsewhere. Smaller devices are never flagship devices. So you never see like a small phone that's a flagship, or at least a normal size phone by today's standards. They're all giant phones.
It's glorious Kit Kat.
Because I think it would have been interesting if we kind of saw HTC do it with the Mini, but the Mini also lost I think OIS and a few other things.
Yeah, they dumbed it down a little bit.
Yeah, so it'd be interesting to see somebody come out and just say like, hey, here's we've got our flagship. It comes in 3 sizes. If you want a giant phone, it has some advantages for that. If you want a smaller phone, it's got some advantages for that, and maybe a middle if you need it. But we're not really seeing that at this point.
No, we're not. But we're seeing 10 million Note 3s sold in 2 months. That's what we're seeing. That's just kind of shocking to me. That's a lot of Note 3s. That's a lot of big phones. Actually, Tim, where were we? We were at a coffee shop in Portland the other day, and some dude was totally rocking a Note 3, making a phone call on it. And you could tell, Tim goes, look at that guy. He's totally got a Note 3. Like, it was obvious he was holding this giant thing up to his head. But
It was pretty incredible.
it was.
Yeah.
We're cave trolls. We don't get out enough to see this. Maybe that's a regular occurrence. Maybe you see Note 3 all over the place.
Cave trolls have to get their coffee too.
That's right.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of them. I was out of town this last weekend, and I went to a concert last night, and I think I saw Note 2, but no Note 3s.
Okay.
I'm telling you, man. I don't know. I've been trying to think about what the politically correct word to use, but on campus, when I see anybody, that's Asian, they usually have a larger phone. Like it's usually a Note 1, Note 2, or Note 3.
It's pretty PC, I guess.
Is it though?
I was
going to say, this is going to get bad real quick.
I was debating for a long time. I was like, man, I don't want to sound...
No, I was actually going to say it first, too. There's a lot of because whenever we go to the tech conferences, I'm sorry, I got to say it, like, I feel that whenever you see a Note device, it's usually a person of Asian descent, shall I say that, who's rocking the Note. I think they like the bigger phone.
I'm not going to say what ethnicity was holding the Note 2 that I saw, but it may have been that one.
Yeah, I'm only laughing because Ron is just cracking me up right now. Oh, and
we're going to move right out of that topic. Right out of there.
Go.
Good job, Samsung. Sell those Note 3s. So the Chromecast got a whole bunch of new apps support, 10 new ones, I think. So you can actually now stream or share locally stored media, stuff like that. So the Chromecast, in theory, now is actually really legit because that's one of the things people were asking for was the ability to stream locally stored content, and you can do that now with Plex, Avia or Avia. I'm not sure what that app's called, and Real Player does it as well. Do you guys anybody own Chromecast? Tim, you have a Chromecast.
I got
Ron,
two of them.
Eric, you have two of them.
Yeah.
Oh, you're such a boss, Eric.
Okay, so Eric, if you have two of them, when was the last time you used it?
I used the one in the living room last week.
Well, okay, before that, was it like another week or a month before you
No,
or
I
do
used
you use it pretty regularly?
Pretty regularly.
Okay.
I mean, the news that came out the other day made me think that, when it first came out, we were like, oh man, why doesn't it work with more services? And then this new thing came out, and I was like, oh, because there's not that many other services out there that we would want it to work on. Like I didn't know any of the services that they announced other than Plex.
I knew them, but I've just never used any of them. I was like, oh, I know people love Plex, but it's just never been anything I've ever opened or used or.
Well, so when the news came out yesterday, I was going to go through this whole deal about how awesome it is now because you can, stream locally stored media and all this stuff. And then I loaded up Plex because I don't use it at home necessarily. This Avia or Avia, and then Real Player because all three of those do sort of locally stream stuff. And Plex requires a premium subscription in order to do that, so you have to pay. And I think Avia or whatever it's called does it too. It's like an in-app purchase, I think, to upgrade to be able to do that. And then Real Player, I don't think you have to pay for it, but when I tried to stream a video from my phone, it said like the bit rate's too high. You have to upload this to Real Player Cloud, and then we'll cast it over, and that just seemed like way too much work. So I initially got really excited, and then once I started fumbling through it and realized that all of it's basically premium stuff, I kind of lost my excitement. But Plex, though, seems like the option to go with. I set it up quickly, and it was set up in a couple of seconds, or a couple of minutes. I had it set up and ready to go. I just didn't want to pay the $4 or whatever it is a month to use.
I think they'll have a pretty good holiday season with just the Netflix, Hulu, and HBO Go. I'm pretty sure they can just market those three and sell a lot of units this holiday season. So.
Yeah, this is one of those products I feel like Google's done sort of right with. We talked about the Google Play editions and the poor marketing or whatever they're going on there. Chromecast, I think people actually know about and care about. Like my dad was here visiting just this last week, and right before he came into town, he was like, "Do I need to buy a Chromecast? This sounds awesome." And he follows tech stuff and he reads a lot of the stuff, but just to have somebody like him bring it up, and I thought that was kind of interesting. That
one of my friend's brothers tweeted at me the other day and said, "My boss asked me about this, and I heard that you tweeted about it. So is it good?" And I was like, "Yes, it's worth it."
Yeah, for $35.
It's totally worth $35.
Yeah.
Unless your TV can already, have a smart TV that streams Hulu and Netflix, I don't really see much need for it. But if you have a dumb TV that has at least an HDMI port, it's totally worth it. And you have working Wi-Fi. Please have working Wi-Fi at your house, people. This is, it's the future.
It is true. Chromecast does some interesting things with the Wi-Fi signals in your house once you get it set up. Like things look a little interesting when you install that bad boy. It's like you've got 4 more Wi-Fi signals in your house than you actually do.
Oh, I know you. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so big upgrade there. 10 new apps that work with Chromecast. Obviously, that'll just continue to grow, and maybe I'll pay for Plex for 1 month just to play with it to see if it's worth it. I don't know. I guess I do all my media streaming through Google TV because I actually have one of those ancient dinosaurs still hooked up.
The Sony box?
Yeah, the Sony box.
You still got that?
Yeah, I still use it because it has a Blu-ray player if I ever actually watch a Blu-ray. But anything else, I don't download things. If I want to watch anything else, it really comes in handy.
That's crazy, man.
Nexus TV though, it's coming.
That would be nice. That's not actually on our topic list, but Nexus TV. Does anyone think that's actually coming? I can't wait for whatever the analyst. What's the analyst that talks about the Apple TV? Gene Munster. Yeah, that every quarter he's like, it's coming, Apple TV, and then there's no sign of it actually coming whatsoever. I wonder if somebody's gonna adopt that as the Nexus TV. Actually, no one probably cares, but
Eric Schmidt did.
Eric Schmidt.
Every single
TV is gonna be running Google TV by I think last summer. So
was that his original timeline?
Yeah.
Like that?
That seems legit.
Sure.
Google TV wasn't not to keep like bashing on the weird things that Google does, but that was one of those products where they were like, "This is really cool. Let's work on this in-house and not talk to the real world." And then they just pushed it out, and all the cable companies went, "Really? Not a chance in hell, Google."
That doesn't sound like something Google would do.
Right.
No.
So that thing, failed miserably. Although everyone keeps talking about it's coming back. Google TV's coming back. Except we went through a whole I/O without one mention of it. Yeah. Well, Nexus TV, if they do it, we'll be sure to review that thing. Let's see, what else do we got? Oh, I just wanted to point out really quick that Verizon apparently has massively updated their capacity in big cities. Tim, you kind of wrote about that, but they're using their AWS spectrum that they purchased within the last couple of years, and you could see crazy download speeds for a while until it gets bogged down too. But in major cities in their really high trafficked areas, you should see good speeds again if you haven't been for a long time.
Yeah, should be great.
I don't know. Did we ever get an official list of cities, or they kind of left that out? Because I think GigaOM had that report, didn't they?
They talked about it was like 7 cities, like San Francisco, New York, Chicago, Atlanta, Washington D.C., Los Angeles, and that was it. So whatever I just said right there, that was it.
Oh, see, I thought it was way more. I thought it was all these other cities. Those were just a few they listed, but maybe not.
Well, those were like the major markets that they initially rolled it out to.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
I was hoping that I'd get to test it when I went back to Indy this week, or after next week.
I'm sure they're just going to be pumping it out without even telling people. So
yeah, it's kind of weird. I think you mentioned in your write-up on it that it's one of those things they did and didn't really talk about. They're not bragging about how awesome it is or anything. They're just kind of doing it.
I think they're waiting, and then all of a sudden they're going to pounce on AT&T because they want to take back America's most reliable network motto. Like, that is their tag. That belongs to Verizon. Like, UFC heavyweight champion of the world. That is that's their thing. Like AT&T, and I feel bad that AT&T took it from them.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, they are reliable. It's just
they're both reliable.
The speeds were a little bit less. But I was in Denver International Airport and I got 25 down and 10 up. I mean.
Oh yeah, baby.
On Verizon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I'm talking.
So
that's not bad.
And actually, I was in the airports. I mean, normally you're not getting fantastic speeds, but
unless you're in Portland, like for some reason Portland, like PDX had like first 4G LTE tower in the state, and
yeah, you guys got to be the hipsters.
I remember I drove out there. It was like testing it on the Thunder.
Oh, I remember. You're like, I'll be back. I gotta go test LTE.
Yeah, didn't you have a picture of like standing in front of the tower with holding up your phone in front of it?
I think I was just in the parking lot of like Staples or
He
something.
was chilling in his car, just with a
Wasn't
Thunderbolt.
It was.
Yeah, that guy's not creepy at all.
Yeah. I would, I parked like in the middle of the lot too, like really creepy. Yeah. No cars around me.
Who does that?
Apparently I do. Yeah.
Droid life does.
Yeah, Droid life does.
Just living the Droid life.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's whip through some apps and games real quick, and then think about shutting her down. So, Angry Birds Go. I was talking about this a few weeks ago, how I was actually really excited about it because I love Mario Kart so much. And it came out today. And this morning I was, for some reason, was up really early. And I played it for like a solid...
We're both up really early this morning.
Yeah, I played it for like a solid hour. And fun game, I will say. Fun while you're playing it. Just trying to continue to play it for more than about 20 minutes straight or 10 minutes straight is a struggle unless you want to pay lots of money, because Rovio totally made this game all about in-app purchases, and we've seen a lot of games do in-app purchases. This game just feels like it's free, by the way, but it just feels like they're doing everything in their power to get you to just continue to spend money, And I know that's like where gaming companies are going. This thing is just so overwhelming. Like, for example, if you race 5 times in a row, just play 5 races, your bird gets tired, and in order to make your bird untired, you either have to pay with stones, and then if you're out of stones, you have to spend money to buy more stones or gems or whatever to make him untired. So you can't even play it. So 5 races can take all of, 3 minutes. So 3 minutes in, your bird's tired. If you don't have any extra birds, you're done, or you're paying more money. It's unreal. And then, like the carts, they give you are these really crappy carts to race in that you can upgrade. But there's carts that cost $50. Like somebody might actually drop $50 on a virtual cart. That's I can't even understand how anyone could justify that. But you could buy a $50 cart if you really wanted to. It just goes on and on. There's every little thing you do is a purchase, or you have to try to play for 4 hours to upgrade enough, but you can't because you have to use gems to untire your birds. It's kind of a disaster.
Man, I need to introduce you to Team Fortress 2 and talk to you about in-app purchases, about how somebody will spend $50 on a piece of electronic,
All right. I would assume, not that I know anything about Team Fortress 2, I'd assume that's a little higher end or better than Angry Birds Go.
That's true. I'll give you that.
We're talking about a go-kart mobile smartphone game.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool if they offered pay, I don't know, $30 and you get everything option.
Yes.
Maybe $10. Something other than.
Well, because I think games are getting to the point where it's close to, if not on par with, older console games where you would have paid, $50-$60 for, you probably, actually back in the day, they're even more expensive. I remember I have an old comic book that's got Sega Genesis and SNES ad on the back of it, and a lot of the games are like $70-$80.
Crazy.
So, that was the norm, and I think as, the games progress in terms of their complexity and how long they are and how good, just how good they are, I think that's I would like to see companies at least give that option, say, hey, if you want to pay like $40-$50 for the game, you get everything, and there's no in-app purchases and craziness there. So, because I get it, it's hard to release that app for free. Like the only way for them to make money is to do it, in-app purchases.
I think we live in a post Candy Crush world, because anytime you talk to anybody about Candy Crush, like every single person I've talked to says they spent way too much money on that game.
Well, you spend just as much as you need. That's what I've learned. Like with Candy Crush, I don't pay for extra moves. I only pay so I don't have to bug my friends on Facebook to unlock the new levels. So and that's
you pay to not annoy your friends.
Yeah, why the hell would I want to annoy my friends? Well, yeah, exactly. That might be a problem. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think if you want to force users to bug their friends or whatever, give an option to just pay and be for the game outright and be done.
Have a season
and they totally do. And you can do that, or you can play quests. But sometimes I don't want to play. And every time you do a quest, it takes 24 hours before you can do the next quest, and you have to do 3. So essentially, it takes you 3 days to unlock the new pack. I ain't got that kind of time.
All of this right here that Tim is talking about is what I was saying. We're living in a post Candy Crush world. I feel like they have taken the top off of free to play. And now I think that's what we're seeing here with.
Well, but we're
just taking my money.
And we're even seeing that with this new generation of games. I think it's Forza, where you can buy cars in there too.
Yeah, you can buy coin. You can either race and unlock the cars with in-game money, or you can pay Xbox. You can pay Xbox for coins, which the coins unlock cars.
Yeah, so we're seeing this all over the place, where companies are trying to make more money through the game and things like that, which I get to some degree, but oftentimes it's ridiculous price. Who's paying $50 for a cart in Angry Birds?
That's ridiculous.
Let me tell you.
That's ridiculous. But then there's other games like Call of Duty, Battlefield, where you can, especially Call of Duty Black Ops 2, where they introduce these gun camo packs, where you want to spend $15 for a pack. You get some new skins for your guns. Other than skins, you don't get anything though. You might get some new character customizations or whatever. But really, I mean, the amount of money that they think that this is worth is redonkulous. But people are paying it. It's always going to exist if people keep paying.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times it's impulse buys. And we see this with all kinds of games. Like you said, skin packs. That reminded me of Arkham Origins, where you can buy skin packs and they all look horrible. But they have options for that, and I think
you didn't like those for Arkham Origins, the old 1970
terrible.
Batman?
It looks like they spent 5 minutes skinning it. It looks
That's true. I never actually played with them, so I can't give first-hand account.
Well, then what the hell are you talking about?
I mean, they look awesome from what I could see. The little promos that they did, they look pretty cool.
Yeah, and the promos look great. In game, they look horrible.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, so I guess I fully understand the whole in-app purchase thing, and that's where it's going. But what I don't get is when they're basically stopping you from being able to.
Yes, then it is a problem.
Game.
Then it is toxic to the game. It has to be done right for it to like exist, you know.
Yeah. Anybody else have games?
Sorry?
Is there an echo?
Yes, there is an echo, and I don't know.
There's something going on. It sounds like
Somebody's
a
echoing.
ham bone getting chewed on over there.
It's not. It's that, but that's not the echo.
It's not there now. Is it kind of there?
A little bit.
I don't hear it.
I hear it on my end.
Yeah, it's not for Eric though. Eric's fine.
Eric, you're echoing.
Wait, what?
I don't know.
I muted myself and it was still going. Either way.
Either way. We're echoing. This is awesome.
Hello.
Let's talk other games. That's my rant on Angry Birds. I'm sick of it. I'll still probably play it a little bit because I spent so much time. But
Eric, mute
back?
yourself. All right, leave it just like that. We're perfect. Now I can hear myself. All right, so Nightmare Malaria is the game I'm going to be talking about, and boy,
that just sounds terrible. Like it sounds like there's lots of death involved.
Yeah, you know, I said in the post that I wrote about today, it was like a really dark game. So what happens is this young girl gets infected with malaria, and you go inside, you play as the young girl. I think she's playing inside of her own body, and you have to fight off, you know, killer mosquitoes while collecting teddy bears throughout the levels, and then you have to get to a safety net at the end of these levels. But the game itself is actually produced by an Academy Award-winning developer group, and they got Susan Sarandon to play the voice of some girl. Thor's choking on the bone he's chewing on. Good. That's what you get. So Susan Sarandon, these award-winning developers, and the game is very interesting. So a lot of the proceeds that come from the game get donated to malaria. So it's a charity for malaria awareness, prevention, treatment. It's one of these top charities for malaria. Sorry, I don't know the name right now. It's AMF. I just can't remember what it's exactly stands for. But you know, I love a game that's good. You know, it's for a good cause. You know, it's not a bunch of developers trying to be greedy. Not that all developers are greedy or anything like that with in-app purchases, but it's just Rovio and Zynga. And a few others.
And whoever makes Candy Crush. Yeah.
Exactly. King. Oh my God. So yeah, Nightmare Malaria, I'll go ahead and link it in the chat, but really good game. It's free to download. Check it out if you haven't already. It's for a good cause. And the graphics are sweet, the story's dark, and I love that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's fight malaria and beat it together. How about that?
Sweet. Anybody else have any other apps, games want to throw out there?
Yeah, I also have another one, I guess, because I asked Eric if he wanted to talk about Assassin's Creed Pirates, but then I guess he did not buy it and play it. And
yeah, you asked if I played it, not if I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, but since you haven't played it, I'm not going to let you talk about it.
That's a good point. Because I would just talk about Drake and their stupid commercials.
Exactly. So Assassin's Creed Pirates, basically you're a prisoner at first, but then you are freed by a pirate captain who then you're so ambitious. He can tell that you have passion for pirating. that he lets you free, gives you your own little sailboat. It's a gunboat, and he's like, have fun, and you're like, oh, my own boat, okay. So then you just go off and you take on the Royal Navy in the Caribbeans, or Caribbeans, however you want to pronounce it. I'm not going to judge you. So, the gameplay itself gets a little repetitive because it's all based on, so when you're in a gun battle with another boat, it's all about swiping and tapping, and you're waiting for your guns to reload. I mean, ancient warfare, I'm not the same pirates or ancient or anything, but like old school warfare, like with cannons and all that, must have been so boring. Because you're just like waiting to get blown up, basically, like while they're reloading them and all this stuff. I would hate to live back there. Anyways, I digress. I digest. The game is $4.99 on Google Play.
Oof.
Yeah, it's big, but there's no in-app purchases. You can, however, buy more supplies if you need it, but you do not. I have not needed more supplies at all. In fact, I don't even know why you would need more supplies. I don't even know why the function exists, because it has nothing to do with upgrading your ship or anything like that. You get gold by the missions you do. You can't buy more gold, as far as I know. and it's a great game. I love it. So although $5, the initial price, although the graphics are fantastic, Ubisoft did a great job developing it. So if you're into pirates and stuff, go check it out. I know I've been getting really corny with my talking about apps. I'm sorry. It's fun.
It's passion. It's pure passion.
Oh, pure passion. Love pirating. So yeah.
Pure passion for pirating.
That's right.
Good.
And
cool.
Yep, I got no other apps.
All right, sweet. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, should we just wrap?
We could wrap. Yo.
I think we got one more show left in the year, so next week, episode 45 should go down, unless something crazy comes up. But otherwise, we will see you guys next week. Thanks for joining us, and 44 in the books. Peace.
Deuces.